Fellow Zambians, welcome back to the third of our 14 weekly conversations. Tonight, I speak of the people around the president and the space of truth. If you are joining us for the first time, this work is titled In Dialogue with My President. In truth, it is a monologue, the voice of one citizen speaking to his head of state, our president. One citizen speaking in the hope that what is said here reaches not only His Excellency, but every leader and every Zambian. Whether you lead a ministry or a market committee, a company or a congregation, a political party or a single household, this conversation is also for you. Tonight, we step quietly into the room around power. Good evening, Your Excellency, President Hakainde Hichilema. Good evening, my fellow Zambians. Tonight, we speak of something rarely spoken of in public, yet it shapes every decision that reaches every household in this country. We speak of the people around the president, the advisors, the ministers, the aides, and the space or the absence of space for the truth to reach the one who must finally decide. I am mindful, Your Excellency, of the moment in which I speak. Cabinet and Parliament now stand dissolved, as our law requires before an election, until the new government is inaugurated. Yet, the state does not pause. It continues to exist. And the question of whether truth can reach the one who leads remains worth our reflection tonight. Mr. President, allow me to begin with a confession of my own. When I was invited to serve President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa as a special consultant, I asked him, before I had worked even a single day, for a week to go on a retreat. This is because I had felt in my bones the enormity of what I was about to carry. I knew the work would ask of me more than my ordinary self could provide. When I returned from my retreat, and before the president saw me in, he invited me the evening before to his official home, and he gently said, "Martin, this role will sometimes require you to speak to me in a manner you would rather not. I want you to be honest. I want you to be direct." With a smile on his face, he continued, "I know that at times I respond with a strong voice, but that should not discourage you from telling the truth you are holding. Obviously, speak with politeness, because this office is not about me. It carries the spirit of our nation. That makes it larger than any one of us." I cannot tell you, Your Excellency, the relief I felt at hearing these words. In those words, President Mwanawasa showed me he understood the weight of his office and was freeing me to speak the truth to him. That, Mr. President, is what a leader does. He frees the people around him to speak the truth to power. He invites them first. He deliberately, on a daily basis, creates the space for the people around him to speak the truth they hold. He does not wait for courage. He sets the tone. The leader who does not, slowly and without meaning to, becomes the advisor to his own advisors. This is not a Zambian weakness. I have seen it in other countries and other sectors I have served. It is a human weakness. As one of my teachers once told me, the higher you go, the less truth reaches you. for people in high positions should remember that plain speech often arrives dressed as a compliment. Your Excellency, let us check the country's pulse. Allow me to bring 3 Zambians into this room. You and I will listen. The first is Mrs. Beatrice Mwape, a retired permanent secretary from Lusaka province. 30 years of service, 4 presidents. She has watched a quiet thing happen to the truth. A report leaves her desk plain and exact, and by the time it reaches the top, each hand that touched it has added a little admiration and removed a little discomfort, until the figures that worried her arrive as figures that praise the leader for whom the report was intended. She is not afraid of the person at the top, she says. She is afraid of what the climb does to the truth along the way. When a memorandum reaches the president as a compliment, he is no longer being informed. He is being flattered. The second is Mr. Muia Sitali, a ward councillor in Mongo. He has measured the same room 3 times in a single day. Before the meeting, in the corridor, the talk is frank and brave. Inside the meeting, the very same people nod and applaud. After the meeting, in the car park, the bravery quickly returns. Mr. Sitali has begun to ask the only question that matters. Why is the honest conversation always the one held where it cannot change anything? The third is Miss Chimwemwe Tembo, 26, from the Copperbelt. She works on a ministry's communications team. She keeps the lists of who is invited, and she has watched which names slowly fell away. The church leaders who once sat at the table, the civil society voices, they are called upon less often now, and those who remain are, more and more, those who agree. She does not believe anyone planned it, and that is what unsettles her. A circle does not narrow by decree. It narrows by comfort, one uninvited, honest voice at a time. Your Excellency and my fellow Zambians, I must name something about our part of the world. We hold our leaders in immense respect, and that is a precious thing. Yet, it can lift a president to a height that begins to resemble the opening pages of the Bible's creation narrative in the book of Genesis. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Let there be the moon and the stars, and there was. On our continent, and we are now seeing this in other parts of the world, a president can say, "Let there be this position," and there is. Let there not be that position, and it is gone. Let there be this law, and the word becomes law. When one word can create and uncreate so swiftly, the most important question in the nation is no longer what the word will be. It is who is standing in the room when that word is formed or uttered. Mr. President, you yourself have named this danger, and I honor you for it. In March last year, at the swearing in of a minister, you spoke plainly of cabinet members who arrived having overindulged and fall asleep in meetings. You said, "If one can begin to doze off there, it is a serious crime." Beneath the rebuke, many of us heard your deeper concern. A leader who notices that his room has gone careless is a leader still listening to his room. Your Excellency, let us take the example of the making of our laws. In recent times, significant changes to our laws have been brought before Parliament and yourself. Some changes were welcomed. Others drew the open concern of the churches, of the Law Association of Zambia, and the attention of the Constitutional Court. I do not rise tonight to argue the merits or demerits of any single bill. But every law that is brought and every law that is signed began as advice in a room. And so, the citizens gently wonder, who was in that room? Whose counsel did the president hear before he set his hand to the page? Were the voices of caution given a seat, or only the voices of agreement? Here is my invitation, Your Excellency. In my book, Leading Like Madiba, I write about how Nelson Mandela carried himself in cabinet. He would sit in silence while his ministers argued and disagreed, and even raised their voices. Only when the room had spent itself would Madiba speak. One sentence, sometimes one word. He understood that the leader who speaks first, without meaning to, closes every mouth in the room. I learned this in my own small way at President Mwanawasa's side. After the first cabinet meeting I attended, he asked me to walk with him back to his private office. And he asked, "Martin, what are your thoughts on how the meeting went?" I hesitated. "I'm not so sure, Your Excellency, that it is my place to say." He stopped me. "I expect nothing from you but honesty." I answered him. "I was disappointed, Your Excellency." He asked me why. I said, "On almost every agenda item, Your Excellency, the most common words around the cabinet table were, 'My colleague just took words out of my mouth.' I was going to congratulate Your Excellency on your wise decision." "What is wrong with that?" President Mwanawasa asked me. I answered, as respectfully as I could, "Because, Your Excellency, you offered your own opinion first. And once you have spoken, who at that table can feel free enough to offer something different?" And then, after moments of silence, he asked the next question that tells you everything about the man. "What do you suggest I do?" I said, "You might, Your Excellency, consider laying a matter on the table without first revealing your opinion so that you could receive the genuine thought of every person seated there." The very next cabinet meeting was a different ballgame. The president asked the questions that did not reveal what his views were. At first, the ministers took a little bit of time to second guess what the president's views were. But they eventually spoke, sharing their real thoughts and gave their reasons. Afterwards, the president said to me, "I have learned one thing. When I speak first, I silence the genius of the very people I invited to run this nation with me." Mr. President, I share this not because I know how your own meetings unfold. I do not. I share it only as food for thought. So here is the invitation, offered with affection. President Mwanawasa was an accomplished lawyer and an imposing figure, and I watched many involuntarily grow small in his presence. You faced the same quiet test, Your Excellency. Before you were president, you were a very successful corporate leader. You are eloquent. Your thoughts are very clear. Your boundaries are firm. Your voice, in a good sense, is very commanding and compelling. It is one of your many assets. But without you intending this to be so, these achievements and assets can be intimidating for many people around you. You will see how a room can easily fall silent in your favor. My hope and prayer is that You have freed those around you to speak the truth to you. So, I would humbly ask, if you are not already doing so, 3 things. First, speak last, not first, when the matter is grave especially, so that the room may give you its honest mind. Second, keep near you at least one person who can tell you to your face that you are wrong, and keep their post the following month. Third, reopen the doors that have narrowed to the churches, to the civil society bodies, to the thoughtful critic and the elder who knew you before the office knew you. Allow me, Your Excellency, to speak to my fellow citizens, countrymen and women, wherever you sit, in a boardroom, a political party, a council, a church, an NGO, or a family. When you surround yourself only with those who agree with you, you will one day stand like the emperor in the old story, sure that you are clothed in splendor, while the whole street can see that you are not. None of us is too wise to be told the truth. Not you, Mr. President, not me. There is a passage in the book you hold, Your Excellency, very close to your heart, the Bible. When Moses led a whole people, he sat alone from morning to evening, judging every matter himself. His father-in-law, Jethro, watching, did not flatter his son-in-law. What you are doing is not good, Jethro said plainly. You will wear yourself out, for the task is too heavy for one man. And here is the wonder of it. Moses, the greatest leader of his age, listened and did all that Jethro had said. The strong leader is not the one who needs no counsel. He is the one that is humble enough to receive counsel. Underneath all this is the charge we have carried through these conversations. When the Lord restored Peter, he did not ask him to rule the sheep. He asked him 3 times to feed them, to tend them, to care for them. Leadership is not the gathering of agreement around oneself. It is feed my lambs, tend my sheep, feed my sheep. And Mr. President, no shepherd can feed a flock he can no longer hear. In closing, Your Excellency, I have a few questions for you to take into your sleep. Who in your room can tell you that you are wrong and they still hold their position the following month? When did you last read a brief that disagreed with the position you had already taken and thanked the person who wrote that brief? And if Jethro were to sit beside you tonight and watch how the room around you speaks, what do you think he would say to you? Until next week, hold these with me, Your Excellency. May we choose unity. May we choose peace. May we choose the courage to listen. May we choose to keep the room wide enough for one Zambia, one nation to walk in. May God hold this country with both hands. Good night, Your Excellency. Good night, Zambia.